pleased tobhyam unto you. Aham, I, Tata, my dear son. Swasti, all blessings. Stat, let there be. Vam, unto you both. Kshiti Ishvara, O Lord of the world. Yat, because nirvyalikena, without reservation. Hrida, by the heart. Sadi, give instructions. Ma, unto me. Iti, thus. Atmana, by self. Arpitam, surrendered. Translation and purport by Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada. Lord Brahma said, my dear son, O Lord of the world, I am very pleased with you and I desire all blessings for you and your wife. You have without reservation surrendered yourself unto me with your heart for my instructions. Please repeat the translation. Lord Brahma said, my dear son, O Lord of the world, I am very pleased with you and I desire all blessings for both you and your wife. You have without reservation surrender yourself unto me with your heart for my instructions. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The relationship between the father and the son is always sublime. The father is naturally disposed with goodwill towards the son and he is always ready to help the son in his progress in life. But in spite of the father's goodwill, the son is sometimes misguided because of his misuse of personal independence. Every living entity, however small or big he may be, has the choice of independence. If the son is unreservedly willing to be guided by the father is 10 times more eager to instruct and guide him by all means. The father and son relationship as exhibited here in the dealings of Brahma and Manu is excellent. Both the father and the son are well qualified and their example should be followed by all humankind. Manu, the son, unreservedly asked the father Brahma to instruct him and the father, who was full of Vedic wisdom, was very glad to instruct. The example of the father of mankind may be rightly followed by humankind and that will advance the cause of the relationship of fathers and sons. Presents the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Kadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktarunda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So on the request of Swayambhu Manu, Brahma started speaking. So first he appreciated the mood of Swayambhu Manu. He is saying, Pritastubhyam aham tata. Oh my dear son, Tata, Pritastubhyam, I am very much satisfied with you. Swastistat vam Kshiti Ishvara, O Lord of this world. Swastistat vam. So let all auspicious, all blessings upon you and your wife, not alone, please, both of you. Yan nirvyalikena hrida, because without reservation, nirvyalikena hrida, with your heart. Sadima iti atmana arpitam, you have surrendered yourself unto me and waiting for my instructions. You are expecting me to guide you properly. So for this intention, for this mode, I am very satisfied with it. So in the purport, Prabhupada says, the father is naturally disposed with goodwill towards the son and he is always ready to help the son in his progress in life. The mood between the father and son. The father is very much willing to support the son in his progress in spiritual life. So, but in spite of father's goodwill, the son sometimes becomes misguided because of his misuse of personal independence. The problem is sometimes with the son. Because of his independence, he may get carried away. He would not like to accept the guidance of the father. If the son is unreservedly willing to be guided by the father is 10 times more eager to instruct and guide him by all means. So the purpose of the point is the son should be more interested. The father is ready to deliver him 10 times more. So that unreserved willing, that point is very important. Nirvyalikena. Manu unreservedly asked the father Brahma to instruct him, and the father, who is full of Vedic wisdom, was very glad to instruct. So when the proper disciple had come, the spiritual master would be very enthusiastic to preach. Because when the qualified disciple is there, the knowledge received will be of proper utilization. So both the father and son are well qualified, and their example should be followed by all humankind. So the qualification of the teacher and the qualification of the listener are both of higher standards. Then the result, what comes out of that meeting, will be beneficial for everyone. And they should be treated as a proper example. That's what Prabhupada is writing in the purport. Now when you understand here, Atmana Arpitam means surrender unconditionally, nirvyalikena. Now what did Prabhupada define? What is surrender? So because surrender means everybody will have their own understanding, but what different meanings what Prabhupada had given for surrender? Sharanagati or surrender means acceptance or firm belief that wherever the surrendered soul lives, he is always protected by the Supreme Lord and he is never alone or unprotected. The first point, Sharanagati, this is the Sanskrit word for surrender. So Sharanagati means accepting the complete surrender of Krishna, and wherever he is there, avasya rakshube Krishna. Krishna is ready to always protect me. Next, surrender means not that we demand something from the Lord, but we completely depend on his mercy. So surrender comes not with demanding. If Krishna likes, he may keep his devotee on a poverty-stricken condition, or he likes, he may keep him in an opulent position. So it is like we cannot demand. So Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu starts with the 6 principles of surrender. Anybody remember this shloka? Anukulyasya sankalpa, pratikulyasya varjanam, rakshishiti vishwashaha, goptrutve varnam tata, atma nikshepa karpanye, shadvida sharanagati. These are the 6 principles of surrender. Anukulyasya sankalpa, accepting things that are favorable for execution of devotional service. Pratikulyasya varjana, rejecting those things which are not favorable for devotion. Avoiding all unwanted things. Rakshishiti vishwashaha, having complete faith that Lord is my protector. Goptrutve varnam tata, and Lord is my maintainer. Atma nikshepa, self-surrender. Karpanye, full of compassion, is the 6 principles of surrender. Now based on that only all these points are. So Prabhupada at various contexts he is communicating these things. Self-surrender means remembering that one's activities and desires are not independent. When you have surrendered means you have forsaken your independence. The devotee is completely dependent upon Krishna and he acts and thinks as Krishna desires. So this is what surrender to Krishna means, or surrender to spiritual master. We don't have our independent desire. Our desires are what is Krishna's desire or what is Guru's desire. Then, in devotional service, surrender means one has to become confident. Rakshishiti vishwasha, that vishwasha, confident. Krishna will surely protect me and Krishna will help me for the successful execution of devotional service. For what Krishna will help? To maintain his body-mind system? No. Krishna will help for successful execution of devotional service. Surrender means I am surrendering to Krishna with full faith that he is quite competent and able to give me protection. You can surrender only at a point where you know the opposite person is quite competent enough. You cannot go and surrender to anyone and everyone. So he should be competent enough and he should be able to give you protection. Only then when you will be able to surrender to him properly. Then surrender means full of knowledge. Surrender means you approach somebody where your intelligence is nothing. You surrender to a superior. You don't surrender to an inferior. Absolute surrender means anyabhilashtha shunyam. I am surrendering to Krishna to get this benefit. That is conditional surrender. I surrender to Krishna without any motive or reservation. That is absolute surrender. There is no business perspective there. I surrender to Krishna because he is ready to fulfill all my desires. He will take care of me, my maintenance, my family, my children, my job. No. Surrender means no condition. Unconditional. Like yesterday, in that class, Prabhu was mentioning CPP. Ahaituki apratihata. Uninterrupted, unmotivated. That is bhakti. Surrender means he has finished all his material business. So once you surrender to Krishna means you are completely out of the material business. No more material hankerings, no more material perspectives. Surrender means you surrender and work as Krishna says. So surrender means you work as Krishna says. So surrender means you first of all be convinced, here is a person who can give me actual knowledge. So when you surrender to a guru, so you are fully confident, yes, he is the person who can give me actual knowledge. So surrender means to accept his orders. The spiritual master trains the disciple in the way of goodness quality. So he trains us to bring to the platform of Sattva Guna. Surrender means full faith in Krishna. In execution of my devotional service, there may be so many dangers. But because I have taken shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, I am safe. So accepting Krishna's lotus feet as the only shelter and feeling that, yes, I am safe under the lotus feet of shelter of Krishna. Surrender means I must be prepared to execute the will of Krishna and not my whims. So Krishna's will is that you become Krishna's devotee. So see the perspective. I have to surrender to Krishna's will and not act according to my whims. And what was Krishna's will? That I have to become devotee. Surrender means beginning of love. Unless I got love for you, why shall I surrender to you? So the beginning of love is surrender. So when you are accepting subordination under somebody means that your love for that person has started. Only then you become surrendered unto him. Surrender means full renunciation and no reservation. Surrender means no independent desires. So all renunciation already started and no reservation. Because for a servant, what is reservation for him? No more personal pride, all these things are gone. No reservation. Surrender means there is no why. It is ordered and it has to be done. There is no putting forward question. No why at all. Surrender means I accept you as my teacher and I will not argue. So first of all, this is required. Before accepting somebody as teacher, one must be convinced the person whom I am going to accept my teacher is perfect. Then the knowledge will be nice. So see the considerations in what way surrender has been defined. And here Manu, he has been surrendering to Brahma, and who is the best person who can deliver him? There is no other best person than Brahma who can give that best knowledge. So sometimes we have to also understand based on how, where, when, the instructions keep varying. In Bhagavatam, we see various personalities approaching at different perspectives. Like Parikshit Maharaj approached Shukadeva Goswami at what particular point? When he was about to die. In a 7 days period. It's like a notice period in an office company. So you are almost like on a bench. You don't know what to do. No further task, no activity. But here, Parikshit Maharaj was completely engaged personality till then. And he, in such a short span, he renounced everything. He left his kingdom, he left his royal opulence, he left everything and came to the bank of river Ganga, and he wanted to have that guidance of the devotees so that he will be able to remember the Lord at the last moment of his life. And he was asking them, what should I do? What is the duty of a person? But there was no proper answer to what he was expecting. Because various sages were giving various references. So in that context, some of the verses, how the circumstances led to in that way. Brahma kopoditad yastu takshakat prana vihvalat na sammu mohorubyat bayat bhagavati arpitashaya. The mood of Parikshit Maharaj is explained. He is fearless to face death. Because Bhagavati Arpitashaya, because he is a completely surrendered soul unto the Supreme Lord. Na Sammumoha Urubayar. He was neither afraid nor overwhelmed by fear. See what happens when we know we are about to die. Most of the times nowadays it is common, we go to hospital, they scan us and they say, you have only this many days. You are having some cancer, some stage where it will be incurable. We may extend it by giving medicines, so you can extend for another few more months like that and all. So what happens the first thing when you hear about death? What comes to our mind? Fear, next. Okay, anxiety about family members, next. What are the pending desires what I have? What are the pending businesses what I have? Who has to give me what money? All these things, okay, whatever we have done in the entire life, it starts playing. So in that way, what happens we might get carried away in any of these perspectives. So here, Parikshit Maharaj is fearless. And says, Takshakat prana vihvala, due to the snake bird which is about to bite him, but still he was not afraid. Because, yastu Brahma kopita, because he was cursed by a angry Brahmana boy, he did not even bother for the situation. If he is all capable enough, he could have reversed the curse also. He was the person who was protected by the Lord when he was in the mother's womb also. Could Lord not protect him at this particular point? No, he wanted to take, this is the will of the Lord. If Lord had sanctioned it, there is some purpose for this activity. So here, the mood of Narayana Paraha, like Parikshit Maharaj, who only thinks of Lord Narayana at all the time, it is, he is never afraid of any place or person or not even death. So for him, except Supreme Lord, nothing is important. And in all conditions, thinking of the Lord Narayana is very essential. And he did not bother either hell or heaven. Both are equal for him. So that is the mood what Parikshit Maharaj was exhibiting. He exhibited the signs of a pure devotee by accepting the curse as the will of the Lord, and thus not fearing and getting bewildered by such things. Because when we become fearful, when we become bewildered, our mind doesn't work. We don't know what is good and what is bad. Without discrimination, we'll be losing into some other direction. See, he did not lose his sense control. He was able to perfectly balance himself in his equilibrium. Shri Radha Govinda ki. Next, further it says, Ushrijya sarvata sangam vijnata ajita samstitihi vayasaker jaho shishyo gangayam swam kalevaram. So Parikshit Maharaj attained complete detachment and full realization by the blessings of Shukdev Goswami. Ushrijya sarvata sangam, renouncing everything, all his material duties and his associates. Vayasaker shishyaha, he became surrendered disciple to Vayasaki, Shukdev Goswami. Vijnacha ajita samstitihi, and he was able to understand the actual position of the Supreme Lord. Ajita samstitihi, the position of the Supreme Lord. Vijnata, he became completely aware. And Jaho Gangayam, he went to the bank of river Ganga. Swam Kalevaram, to give up his material body. So here the word Lord is used as unconquerable, Ajita. So, even in any situation, nobody can conquer the Lord. And it is said that Parikshit Maharaj could understand the unconquerable only by the grace of the spiritual master. The position of that Ajita, you cannot conquer the Lord in any circumstances, can be understood only by the grace of the spiritual master. Next, the result of realizing this transcendence, by the grace of the spiritual master, Parikshit Maharaj could develop the higher taste and strength to give up all association with material energy, including his own body. So, see, by having that practical association and by the grace of spiritual master, Parikshit Maharaj was able to give all material association, including his own body, which is very difficult for one. So, by the blessings of Ajita, one can come to that stage through the mercy of Guru. And further it says, Nottam shloka vartanam jushatam tad kathamritam syat sambramo antakalepi smaratam tad padambuja. So he says, Jushatam vartanam, because we have dedicated our lives, tat kathamritam, for the transcendental topics of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is known as Uttama Shloka, who is sung by choice poetry, and Smaratam Tat Padambujam, and who are constantly engaged in remembering the lotus feet of the Lord. Nasyat Sambramaha, do not run the risk of having misconceptions. Antakalepi, even at the point of death. Because they have completely dedicated their mind and consciousness for the service of the Lord, in their mind there is no confusion about the Lord and his position about my consciousness. So after constantly engaged in remembering the lotus feet of the Lord, one is able to remember the Lord even at the end of life when the power of remembrance is slackened due to derangement of bodily membranes. At the old age, what will happen? When we are old, we become rich, it seems. How we become rich? There will be silver in our hair, there will be gold in our tooth, there will be sugar in our blood, there will be unlimited supply of gas. So what do you want? We are rich. No, not rich in that perspective. So, because dearrangement means the kapapitta vata are such a way that we will not be able to, our body doesn't encourage us to remember the Lord. They divert away our consciousness. That's why one of the prayer of Kulashekar, King Kulashekara. Anybody remembers that shloka? Krishna tvadiya pada pankaja panjarantam advayame vishatu manasa rajahamsaha prana prayana samaye kapavata pitte kantavaroda makarod shravanam kutaske. He's saying, when I am young, when I am able to remember you at that time, let me take away. Please take me away at that point, because when I remember you, I will be able to go back and enjoy the association of your lotus feet. Because when we become old, when this body doesn't support kapapitta vata, at that time, I will not be able to remember you. I am not sure of remembering you. So that is the mood of the devotee. So when we surrender to, like when Parikshit Maharaj surrendered to Shukadeva Goswami, this question and inquiry is one more place. It says, Sarvam etaccha Bhagavan prachato me anupurvashaha tatvato arhasi udahartum prapannaya mahamune. He is saying, O Mahamune, O great sage, you are Bhagavan, you are representative of the Lord. Prachataha me, you please satisfy my inquisitiveness. Because sarvam etaccha arhasi, as I have all that I have inquired you and all that I may not have inquired you. I have put so many questions and I may not have put some questions also. Accordingly, anupurvashaha, from the very beginning of all my questions, because prapannaya, I am a soul surrendered unto your lotus feet. Tatvataha udahrutam, please impart full knowledge in this connection. So this is in 2nd Canto 8th chapter, questions by Parikshit Maharaj. He has put almost some 21 questions he has put. So he said, I might have forgotten something, one or two. So accordingly, you please teach me in sequence what and all the questions I have put. According systematically, you guide me in this perspective. So when the disciple is very inquisitive, the spiritual master is also very prepared to impart that knowledge to the disciple. See, when you are hungry, if you feed a person, he will be able to appreciate. When the stomach is full and you give him a delicious feast, will he be able to appreciate? So that hunger for knowledge, that inquisitiveness should be present in a person. Next, further, one more place it says, Dharman Bhagavatan Bhuta Yadina Shrutayekshmam Yai Prasanna Prapannaya Dasyati Atmanam Api Aja. So, Dharman Bhagavatan Bhuta, please speak about the principles of bhakti, devotional service. Bhagavata Dharman means devotional service. And Yadina Shrutayekshmam, if you think I am capable enough to understand that perspective, because Ei Prasannaha Prapannaya, when a soul surrendered to the Lord, when a soul surrenders to the Lord becomes very satisfied with it. Ei Prapannaha Prasannaya, when the Lord is satisfied with the soul who is surrendered unto his lotus feet. Dasyati Atmanam Api Ajaha, even though the Lord is called as Ajaha, he becomes Dasyati, he becomes, in return, he will give even his own self to the surrendered soul. The Lord becomes the property of the devotee. There is one place where it says, a devotee can sell the Lord wherever he wants. A pure devotee, he is so capable that he can sell the Lord to anyone and everyone. Because Lord becomes subservient of his devotees. And further it says, Swapadamulam bhajatah priyasyava tatva anya bhavasya hari pareshaha vikarma yat chotpatitim katanchit dunoti sarvam hrudi sannivishtaha. Tattva anya bhavasya, giving up all other engagements, anya bhavasya tattva, and swapadamulam bhajata hari pareshaha. Harihi, the Supreme Lord, parayishaha, the transcendent personality. Swapadamulam bhajataha, accepting the shelter at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and engaging in devotional service. So he becomes priyasya, he is very dear to the Lord, one becomes very dear to the Lord. Vikarma yat cha utpatim katanchit. Sometimes accidentally if the devotee performs some activity which is vikarmaha, not approved as devotional service. Hrudi sannivishtaha, the Lord situated within the heart. Dunoti sarvam, immediately takes away the reaction to the sin. So by chance, accidentally, if a devotee performs such sinful activity also, the Lord cleanses him. When does the Lord cleanses him? The devotee sincerely repents for that purpose. I keep doing my mistakes and accept that Lord is there to purify me. No. You have done a mistake accidentally and we have accepted that I am done this mistake. Please forgive me and in future I will not repeat that mistake. So there is something principle called prayaschita. What is prayaschita means? Atonement. You do a mistake and we go and pray, okay, my Lord, I have done a mistake, please purify me. But Shukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj, when point was described in 6th canto, they say prayaschita is like elephants bathing. What happened? There is a principle like prayaschita. Accidentally you commit mistake, you go into front of that personality and beg forgiveness. But because he has forgiven me, I do not learn anything from that perspective. I keep go on doing mistake. So this is like that elephant bathing. It will take bath, it will come out and put all the dust on his body. Again it will go take bath and again it will put all the dust on his body. So where is that cleanliness perspective? So with this perspective we have to be very clear. So sometimes devotees are also tested in their spiritual life. But the test only will bring the best. So recently when we went to Vrindavan, there was one temple near Radha Damodar. It is the temple of Mirabai. So when she visited Vrindavan, she stayed at one particular place and she worshipped the deities there. So how her life was an example for devotees, for inspiration. So she was born in a city called Marta near Jodhpur. So when she was child, one day she saw a marriage party was going on. So she, out of her curiosity and inquisitiveness, asked her mother, "Who will be my husband?" Her mother pointed to a picture of Lord Krishna and she said, "He will be your husband." So that point she took up so seriously and she started imagining that Krishna will be my husband. And she had completely surrendered to that point. That from today, I am there for Krishna. So taking those words seriously, she started developing attachment to Lord Krishna. So, but when she was small, her parents passed away. Her mother passed away after some time. Her father also, in a battle, he passed away. So she was being taken care by her grandfather. So she used to play on his lap and he used to do his kingly administration. So one day one saint had visited their kingdom. So she started observing so keenly that saint had one small deity of Lord Krishna. And he was taking care of it very nicely. He was very attached to the deity. He was dressing him. He was doing all the reciting prayers, offerings, everything and all. So as a child, she became very adamant and she became very attached to the deity and she started crying, "I want the deity." No, they tried to convince her, but no, she is very adamant. So finally, grandfather requested that saint that he'll give you some other deity, please give that small deity to my god. So that saint also reluctantly could not forsake the Lord, but still, as a small child, he gave the deity and he guided her how to worship the deity and how to take care of the deity. So from that day, she became immersed into the deity itself. Whole day she will be talking to the deity, singing songs, like full in devotional service to the deity. So after some time, she was married to Shri Bhojaraj, the son of Rana Sangha of Chittor. So while the marriage was going on, she was fixing her mind that actually she is getting married to Krishna only. So when she was sent to the in-laws place also, she carried the deity with her in the palanquin. So they were being carried and she is sitting and Krishna is sitting on the opposite part. She was thinking as if she was going along with Krishna to the in-laws house. So when the mother-in-law received the daughter-in-law, she was very happy, very affectionate. And they were all actually smartas, they were worshippers of Durga. So she took her in front of the deity goddess, their family deity, and said, "From today you have to take care of her worship." So she also said, "This is our family deity and by worshipping her, a woman becomes fortunate." But she said, "I have sold my head to Krishna. I cannot surrender to anybody else inferior, either any demigod or demigoddess." Then mother-in-law said, "No, one should not disregard the goddess or else she will become very angry. Offer your obeisances and pay your respects and beg pardon from her." Even on repeatedly insisting, Mirabai simply said, "I have taken a vow that except lotus feet of Lord Krishna, I cannot worship anybody else." So mother-in-law was becoming furious. Day one itself, the daughter-in-law is giving verbal fight. She became infuriated. She went to her husband and complained to her husband that this daughter-in-law is of no use to me. From today itself, he is talking back to me. Tomorrow, what knows what she will do. So father-in-law also wanted to teach the daughter-in-law a lesson. So they gave her some old dilapidated house. And she was in a secluded position. And she thought, this is a blessing upon me. I can do all my spiritual activities. Nobody will come and bother me. And with her intention, she started associating with saintly devotees. So whoever used to come, she used to serve them. She used to take association. So there was her sister-in-law, Udabai. So she came to Mirabai and said, "No, this is not the way of life, how a woman should lead. You are a royal princess. We should not associate with saintly people. What will happen to our name, prestige, everything and all? Then Mirabai replied, she would like to associate with saintly persons which brings her great happiness. And anyone who is unhappy because of her behavior should stay away from her. So clearly indicated, if you don't like, you don't come and associate with me. So seeing her rebellious attitude, the family members, they wanted to kill her. So they tried various attempts. So one day they had sent a basket of flowers with a deadly snake inside. And when that basket was delivered to her, when she opened the basket, she found one beautiful deity of Lord Krishna with a very nice garland. That snake transformed into the deity of Krishna. Then some other time they sent a bowl of poison, saying that this is Charnamrita, the water that has washed the lotus feet of Lord. As soon as she heard Charnamrita, then she forgot everything and she offered it to the Lord and thanked him for giving that opportunity of Mahaprasadam, and she drank. As soon as she drank, she became very effulgent. And the deity in Dwarka, Ranchodji, he started emitting foam. Means Lord took the poison. When all the members, they saw that nothing had happened to her and that poison had no effect, they called that snake charmer and they scolded him, what kind of poison have you drunk? Then he said, get that ball. So already she drank, that ball was there. So in that he had poured a milk and gave it to a nearby dog. As soon as the dog had the first sip, and the dog died. He said, my poison is not a problem. Your goal is so potent that Krishna is protecting her. What can I do? Like that they tried various repeated attempts to kill her, but nothing was successful. The sister-in-law, she had some doubt because she wanted to defame. So she communicated to the elders that this girl is having some paramour. She is always talking on all these things and all. So they kept some spies outside her house. So because she was talking to Krishna, they were thinking there was some male inside the house. So one day the spies heard that she was talking, dancing and singing and all. They thought there is somebody. They went and immediately informed the king. The king came with a sword to kill that person. He opened the door and he saw only was Mirabai there. He asked, where is your lover? Bring him to me. Bring him to me. Then she coolly said, showing the deity of Lord Krishna, he is my lover. And he was like shocked. What is this girl talking? The whole thing, we thought we were talking to a man, but she is showing to Krishna. He stood there like motionless. After some time, he perceived like Narasimha was there attempting to come forward. He ran away from that place. So once one fake saint, seeing her devotional elements, he wanted to exploit her. He came to her and mentioned her that Lord had given him instructions to go and enjoy you on his behalf. He said, if Lord had instructed, who am I to stop? She made arrangements, she called all the saints and said, please enjoy me in front of all these people. Then out of embarrassment, all these things and all, then he saw the bhakti in her, immediately surrendered to her. And he said, please forgive me. And he voluntarily accepted to become his follower. So by her purity, she was able to gain confidence in others. So she went to Vrindavan, she met Jiva Goswami, she became inspired by him. That's why Radha temple, opposite only her temple is there. And from then onward, she started composing songs about Radha Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. And she came back after some time, since they were not appreciating her devotional life. So she went away to Dwarka and she started serving the deity there, Ranchodji. So after some time, the family members came to a point that we have lost her association, such a great personality. So they wanted to bring her back. So they sent some Brahmanas requesting the Brahmanas to bring her back to their kingdom. So the Brahmanas came to her and communicated the message. But she said, no, I am not interested. But they were very persuading. They sat down in front of her door and they started fasting. So she said, okay, I'll do one thing. I'll go and pray to the Lord. If he gives permission, I'll come back to you. So she came in front of the deity and she started offering her prayers. And she said, my dear Lord, you are the boss. You want to decide, you can keep me here or you can send me away. You do whatever you want. After that, it is said she entered into the Gita, and she was not visible for anyone for future. In that way, she finished her path. So, from the point of her marriage, from her birth, always that anxieties that she was going through. But because she got attached to the Lord, she was able to overcome all the situations. As an example, how one has to lead their devotion service at all odds. She was like inspiration for other devotees. So sometimes when we engage in devotion service, we also come across various obstacles, either bodily or external, all these things. But we have to have that confidence. Because I am surrendered, the Lord is there to give me complete protection, and He is there to give me that complete knowledge through spiritual master, Guru, that I will be able to handle the situation very easily. He wants me to learn something. He wants me to renounce something. So see the will of the Lord, see the will of the spiritual master in every perspective, that which is favorable for me. Not that we become depressed out of the situation. We have to take the positive perspective out of the situation. So I'll stop here. Any questions or doubts?
But Narakasura became a demon who is Krishna's son. So how to apply that statement in this case?
Narakasura became bad because of his association. He associated with other demoniac people. So Lord also sometimes wants to teach that association. That's what the point is. The independence factor of the son is very important. Because he is independent, or if he misuses his independence, he may go against the will of the Lord. Even though he is born of the mother earth and Varahadev, and there was one curse by Lakshmi Devi itself, that he will die in my hands. So that's why he had to die in the hands of Satyabhama. So to teach to the people in general, even though you may be a son of the Lord, if you have bad association, you are not spared. That is the point what we get from the Bhagavatam. Prabhupada writes his perspective.
One more doubt. So you told repentance is there. Repentance, if it is there, means so you will be not considered the sin. So the repentance followed should be the successful action. Though means repentance with
yes, repentance means I will not repeat it again. So we do some mistake, but we realize the mistake, and we should not repeat that again in that perspective. 9th chapter, that shloka is there, no? Sadhurev samantavya samyak vyavashito hisa. He is sadhu because he realized his mistake and he is in the proper path of devotional service. These are all accidental mistakes, not intentional mistakes. You do with intention means that's the purpose. These are all accidental, unintentional. And you realize the situation and you try to recover from that situation. Only then Krishna accepts that principle. Okay. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की, हिताय गौर प्रेम।
శ్రీకృష్ణుణ్ణి చేరుకోవడానికి వృందావనం వైపు ఉరకలేస్తున్న యమునోత్రి, కైలాసం చేరుకోవడానికి పరుగులు తీస్తున్న గంగోత్రి, శంకరుణ్ణి శాంతపరచడం లక్ష్యంగా పాండవులు నిర్మించిన కేదార్నాథ్, ఆధ్యాత్మిక సాధనకు స్ఫూర్తినిచ్చే ఆ నరుడు నారాయణుడు నడయాడిన ప్రదేశం బద్రీనాథ్. ఈ 4 ధామాల దివ్య దర్శనమే మన చార్ధామ్ యాత్ర ప్రతి భారతీయుడి ఆకాంక్ష. రండి ఈ మహోన్నత యాత్రలో భాగస్వాములమవుదాం.
హరే కృష్ణ గోల్డెన్ టెంపుల్ వారి మరో అపురూప కానుక హరే కృష్ణవాణి ఆధ్యాత్మిక మాసపత్రిక. ఇప్పుడు మొబైల్ యాప్ ద్వారా కూడా సులభంగా పత్రికలు చదువుకునే సౌకర్యం, వార్షిక సభ్యత్వం, భగవద్గీత, భాగవత ప్రవచనాలు, స్ఫూర్తి సందేశాలు, ఇంకా మరెన్నో సదుపాయాలతో హరే కృష్ణవాణి మొబైల్ యాప్ నేడే డౌన్లోడ్ చేసుకోండి. మరిన్ని వివరాల కోసం కాల్ చేయండి